I'm Zach Tawatari, and we're here at the KHU11 studios, and we're here with you, the fans who are tuning into this live stream. We thank you for joining us. That is a live look of the NRG Stadium press conference room as we await Demeco Ryans and CJ Stroud and possibly some other players after the Texans' 19-13 primetime Sunday night win. This was the first time the Texans had played a Sunday night primetime game since 2019 when they played the Patriots on December 1st. They also had the roof open tonight. That was another nice addition for Sunday Night Football. And again, they won 19-13. This is the first time the Texans have started 2-0 since 2016. Now, I want to get your reactions. What did you guys think of the game as we await, again, Demeco Ryans to come to the press conference room, to the podium, there, the auditorium at NRG Stadium. This was a big win for the Texans. They outlasted the #1 overall pick from last year's draft, this most previous year, Caleb Williams. CJ Stroud, of course, a lot of talk this week. CJ Stroud being the #2 overall pick the year before. And the Texans really got it done tonight. They were good at times, sloppy at others. 21 penalties in this game, 12 of them against the Texans. Certainly something Demeco Ryans is going to want to clean up this week at practice. Again, that is a live look of the presser room there as we await Demeco Ryans. And I want to hear from you guys, the fans, as we wait for Demeco to come there to the podium. We can go over some of these stats. Tonight, CJ Stroud was good. I would argue he did his best work really outside of the pocket tonight, off book. He was 23 of 36 for 260 yards. He had that touchdown to Nico Collins early in the game. Nico Collins leading this team tonight in receiving. He had 135 yards on 8 receptions. Last week, we brought you one of the little games we play on Sports Extra. One word to describe what we think of this Texans win. I'm going to go first, and we've already got a couple of comments. We got Constance saying, Texans, baby. I would imagine we're going to see a lot of that this week, or hear a lot of that this week as we go into week 3. We got a couple of Go Texans. I will lead this off. I'm going to go with my one word here. I'm going to say resourceful. The Texans were resourceful in this win tonight. Not always sharp, but they did what they could in certain instances. We saw a couple of key turnovers, a couple of interceptions. We saw Kamari Lassiter, the rookie out of Georgia, the cornerback, get an interception tonight. We also saw Derek Stingley Jr. make some big plays. Raymond says sloppy, but it's a win. I couldn't agree more. Sloppy, but it's a win. Yeah, that sounds about right. I'd love to hear what you guys think. If you could give me some more of your words to sum up this Texans win. How does it feel for Texans fans to be 2-0? Again, the first time since 2016 that the Texans have been 2-0. There's no question. There's so much anticipation leading up to this season, and I think it was very exciting to see this team actually go out there during prime time on a Sunday night and perform the way that they did. They were all over Caleb Williams. Obviously, when you're the #1 pick in the draft, there are going to be a lot of eyes on you. The lights are going to shine brighter, and there's no question they did tonight. He did a lot of things really well. He got out of the pocket. He scrambled. He made things happen. Not great on his throws down the field. Not a very impressive effort on that front. He was sacked 7 times tonight, which was a huge win for the Texans offense. I feel like we didn't even hear Danielle Hunter's name called last week, and both him and Will Anderson Jr. had big games tonight, amassing a couple of sacks total. Again, we're waiting for Demeco Ryans to get to the podium there at NRG Stadium. CJ Stroud will be speaking. It looks like they're doing some mic tests. You might be hearing that there from NRG Stadium from our live feed. Not enough, I think, gets said about CJ Stroud's ability to scramble. He's not necessarily considered a dual threat quarterback in their traditional sense. He's not going to throw half the time, run half the time, but we saw a number of instances tonight where he was able to get out of trouble, extend plays. I'll say it again, go off book. That has been a popular term in Texans press conferences over the last year. And I think America in prime time got to see his ability to do that specifically earlier in the game. All right, going back to some more of these comments. Rachel saying, amazing Texans. Luis, lots of room for improvement, but a win is a win. I'm going to add that one. That's not one word, but I completely agree. A win is a win. That's from Luis there. And that might really sum it up. A win is a win. It wasn't perfect by any means. It was bad sometimes. It was often bad. We saw some uncharacteristic penalties. We saw earlier in the game when the Bears scored their touchdown, Kalen Bullock out of USC, the third-round pick. We saw him commit a bad pass interference penalty coming over the back of that receiver, getting there too earlier. That was an easy call for the officials. Resilient, Robert, another good word, resilient. Yes, I like that one. Resilient. Yeah, and, there were a number of instances tonight where C.J. Stroud probably could have been picked off. He was in danger several times of that happening tonight, but he didn't, and the Texans defense really did step up when they had to. Specifically, I feel like in the running game for the Bears, we're going to look here at their stats in the rushing game for a second. Let's see, 22 carries, 71 yards. They held the Bears to rushing, and a lot of the time that was because the Texans' defensive line was able to blow up the Bears' offensive line. Jose, yep, today was a great day. Houston Texans win and Astros won, and the Cowboys lost. That is true. It was kind of a blowout loss for the Cowboys to the Saints earlier today. Now let's take a look at some of the Texans rushing stats. Not as good of a game, obviously, as they had last week. Joe Mixon was out for part of the game. It looked like he got his ankle rolled over there near the beginning of the third quarter. Looks like Cam Akers led the Texans with 7 carries and 32 yards rushing. They only rushed for 75 yards total today. That's not the way that they want this offense to set up. And honestly, that's probably why they ran into a little bit of a lull there in the third quarter. A number of 4-and-outs, a number of 5-and-outs. I think they punted 4 or 5 possessions in a row there between the third and fourth quarter. You wanted to see them be able to close this game out early. What do I mean by that? Maybe not close it out, but put it away. You wanted to see them put it away early. I mean, towards the end of the first half, that really could have been a 10-point, 13-point swing. I mean, the Texans could have gone in to the half up 20-3. Instead, they went up 13-6, I believe. So, the Bears were able to make some things happen. Caleb Williams certainly showed some signs of why he is considered to be, or was considered to be, such a great prospect, and why so many people expect big things out of him, especially in that Bears locker room. Looking back at some of our comments, Jose with a GIF, heck yeah. I think a lot of Texans fans are feeling that way. Michelle, woohoo, congratulations to the Houston Texans. Keep it up. A lot of positivity from Texans fans. And I'll ask you too, how does it feel to be 2-0 for the first time since 2016? I think that stat can't get old. That's something we talked about earlier this week, them having the opportunity to do that, them having the opportunity to do that in prime time. And I'm curious if anybody was there What did you think of having the roof open at NRG? It certainly looked really great on the broadcast, and I think that was probably a big part of the reason why they wanted the roof open tonight. Now, again, we are awaiting Demeco Ryans. He'll be at the podium shortly. Typically, it's within about 15 minutes of the game ending. There's a little bit of a cooling off period. The media will be waiting to go into the locker room, and then Demeco will walk out, and he will go to the press conference room and start his press conference with some of the other media in there. As far as the Texans receiving game went, Stephon Diggs, not much of a factor tonight, 37 yards. A guy who had a tough night tonight, Tank Dell, -3 yards receiving. We also saw a particular instance in the third quarter right after that Mixon injury where CJ had Tank Dell downfield, middle of the field, and the throw was good, but Tank just flat out missed the catch. It was certainly a surprising play because typically Tank is very reliable, and it just seemed like he wasn't quite in it tonight. He just, whether it was maybe having difficulty with the game plan or what it was, his number was called on a number of times tonight. But again, he finished with -3 receiving yards, and I would imagine that they're going to want to get back to spreading out the targets like they did in week 1. Nico Collins had 8 targets, I think. Stephon Diggs had 7, and Tank had 6. In this game, Nico did get the majority of the targets. He got 10, again, probably because he was the hot hand and the Texans were going to ride him. Also, that's a physical defense that they're playing in Chicago. And I think Nico, being the big-bodied wide receiver, probably part of the reason that he had some success tonight. And again, CJ Stroud, 23 of 36, 260 yards, and the one touchdown, that touchdown coming to Nico Collins. Let's get back to some more of these comments. Okay. 2016, I'm thinking either Brock Osweiler or Brian Hoyer was starting at quarterback then, says Robert. I'll have to check on that for you. I can't remember. I know I did see that, but I can't remember if it was Osweiler or Brian Hoyer at that time. Certainly the Texans on a much different trajectory now with CJ Stroud. And again, you think about these two quarterbacks. You saw it in the broadcast. There were a lot of packages featuring CJ as a kid, Caleb Williams as a kid, and the two paths that they've taken, Caleb being the number 1 overall pick, CJ being the number 2 overall pick. Oh, and it looks like I'll have to hold that thought because we have Demeco Ryans coming to the podium. Let's listen in.
Exciting one, huh?
Demeco, you all really turned up the pressure a lot on Caleb Williams, kind of late in the first quarter and then so on. What was the basis behind that, and how did you see that kind of affect the game?
Well, it starts up front with our defensive line, like Will, Daniil, Mario, all the guys. The way they were rushing, like together, and the way we were covering in the back end, that really set things apart for us. So, credit to Sting and Kamari for the way they covered, allowing those guys to get the pressure. You don't get pressure unless the coverage is tight. So those guys cover well, that allowed the rush to get there.
Yeah, we got a lot of questions.
I got you, John. Go ahead.
Demeco, what were they doing to shut down your run the way they did?
Yeah, they did a really nice job, man. Their defense, Matt has had a great defenses in this league for a long time. So for us, they were moving a lot of stunts up front, a lot of movement, causing a little chaos up front for us, right? They had a lot of penetration, so we weren't able to have the lanes that we had the previous week. So something we had to clean up on the offensive side and make sure we just continue to get a hat on a hat no matter what they show us.
Is that what you were doing to shut down their run too?
Yeah, our guys did a great job of setting the edge. Like they try to run the ball outside a lot. Our guys set the edge, and guys just swarmed inside out to the ball. Right, we had a little movement up front, but the way our guys tackled was really, really nice.
It seemed that Joe Mixon got hurt on a play that's kind of banned from the NFL with the hip drop. What did you see, and kind of what are your thoughts on the play that got Joe Mixon hurt?
Yeah, saw it there. Joe got, rolled up. The guy's weight definitely came down on his ankle. Right, didn't look good from my view. So we'll evaluate Joe throughout the week. Hopefully he's okay. But I have to see the film and see, was it really a hip drop tackle? Have to see the film and see, if it was really that.
Demeco, 12 penalties, 115 yards. I know that's not your style of playing clean football. Is this something that really going to be an attention grabber this week, particularly tomorrow when you start watching film?
That's definitely the attention grabber. I mean, we cannot play that way. Like 12 penalties, it's undisciplined football. That's not what we're about. So we have to clean that up all across the board. Offense, defense, special teams, every phase had penalties. So we allowed them to stay in the game because we helped them, right? So we have to pick that up.
Coach, how much can a game like this, that 19-13 win, how much can a game like this help you all moving forward, getting that gritty, tough win?
It's just about winning, right? 1 week at a time and they're not always going to be pretty, but you just have to find a way to win, and that's what I'm most proud about with our guys. Like, no matter what happened there at the end, we found a way to win. With all the penalties, all of the negative plays, like, we were able to gut out a win, and that's what this league is about.
Coach, I'm thinking about a couple young defenders, and I'm going to lump them together just to get your reaction. You already mentioned setting the edge. I thought maybe Petrie's best game in this new role, saw him several times setting the edge, being physical at the point of attack, and then 2 games in a row, Henry told. His development sounded like his body's right. What did you see from those 2 guys?
Guys were flying around, sideline to sideline. So Petrie definitely jumped off. I mean, he was playing physical, right? He was active. He was around the ball a lot. A couple big hits there. That's what we're about, physical defense. And Petrie put it on tape. Like, if you're going to play us, it's going to be a physical brand of football. So excited where Petrie is.
Demeco, what has having a kicker like Kaimi Fairbairn done for your team so far this season, and kind of just what is the confidence in him, hitting from long range and just being able to lean on him so far this season?
Yeah, nobody talks about it enough. Amy is the reason why we've won these 2 games, right? That's been the player of the game. For him to hit, I mean, I don't know how many 50-yard field goals. Like, I don't think that's been done before. So it's very special for Amy. Like, he's been consistent, he's on it, and he's the reason, like, why we're standing here, right? We talk a lot about offense, defense, but the kicking game is the reason why we won this game today.
Demeco, how do you explain it? Because he's never kicked this far, this consistently in his 8 years here. How do you explain it?
It's the right time now. He's kicking it at the right time now. But Amy, he puts a lot of work in. And just to see his confidence, right, he knows, like, we're behind him, right, and everything he's showing, he's proven to his teammates, right? He's been consistent, he's confident, and our operation has been flawless.
I know he's impressive last year, CJ, but then having a whole offseason now, a couple games in, what have you noticed growth-wise? What's the biggest difference you've seen in him compared to last year now that he's got that whole year under his belt?
Yeah, CJ's been the same. Just the command, the playmaking ability, it's all been the same. Proud of him, young player. 2nd year, he's continued to put the team on his back when we need him most, making some outstanding plays for us.
We'll take these last 2 right here, TJ.
Nico had another big game, back-to-back 100 receiving yards. What can you guys do to kind of get Tank and Stephon kind of going? Kind of know if you have all 3 clicking, you guys can reach the max peak of your offense. What you guys have to do to kind of get those 2 going?
Yeah, I don't think it's a matter of getting guys going. If, like I said before, guys, whoever is open and they're making plays, they'll get the ball, right? So it's not a lack of trying to get those guys the ball. Nico has just shown up these first 2 weeks and made some big-time plays for us. So the other guys are playing really well as well. I mean, Tank and Diggs are playing well too.
Last one.
Coach, it was a little leaky at times, maybe on the interior. Kenyon Green maybe got spotlighted at the time, a little bit into the penalties. Thompson had one, Kenyon had one. Without reviewing the tape, just with the naked eye, so to speak, what did you see from the O-line?
Well, I think when you look at it, I mean, like again, I said they had a lot of movement up front. They caused a lot of chaos for us up front. We'll run it better. We'll be fine.
Thanks, Coach.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Your voice back.
A little bit.
And you just heard from head coach Demeco Ryans after the Texans' 19-13 win as they improved to 2-0. I want to get back to Robert, who asked me earlier who the quarterback was when they started 2-0 in 2016. That would be Brock Osweiler. That's a great call, Robert. We appreciate you tuning in and participating. I want to get back to some of these other comments before we get into what Demeco Ryans said, what we can take away from that press conference as we still await quarterback C.J. Stroud to come to the podium. Pam, I agree with Coach 100%. Clean up the penalties. Way to go, kicking team. Pam, referring to Demeco, talking about the 12 penalties that the Texans had today. That certainly was a killer for them in multiple occasions and could have resulted in a lot worse results, but they were able to really stand up when they needed to. As far as the kicking team goes, Kaimi Fairbairn has been the one-man team. He's been incredible. 6 field goals of over 50 yards. He hit one from 59 today. Not enough can be said about what he's done, and that's exactly what Demeco Ryans reiterated during his press conference. For the Texans to get that field goal going into the half, that was huge. There was less than a minute on the clock when they got the ball back, just over 30 seconds, and for them to be able to march down the field and know that they have trust in a guy who can hit from 59 yards, that really does a lot for the confidence of your team. And to go into the locker room on a high note, that really does a lot for them too. I wrote a couple things down that Demeco said. They're not always going to be pretty. That kind of goes back to our previous comment here. A win is a win. Yes, they're not always going to be pretty, and this one by no means was pretty. There's a lot to clean up, and it's going to be a lot of fun when we see the Texans hit on all 3 phases in one game. So far, we've seen the offense, I feel, outshine the defense a little bit. Tonight, the defense did come up big, though. 7 sacks. That was huge. That was a huge, probably the second biggest reason for them winning this game tonight was stalling the Bears' momentum when they started to get hot with a big sack. Because nothing in football really does more to demoralize an offense than sacking the quarterback. Not only do you use yards and time, but it stalls drives. And that's exactly what the Texans did. They stalled the Bears' drives time after time. Linda says, close game, but awesome win on Sunday Night Football. Yeah, I think a lot of Texans fans have got to be pretty excited for that. Pam, you're welcome. Thank you for tuning in. Yeah, and I'm curious, if any of you were at the game, I would love to hear what the environment was like, because it really seemed like the crowd caused a number of those false start penalties for the Bears. It looked like they maybe had a lack of communication on a number of plays. Things weren't quite right, maybe, at the line. And I would attribute that to the noise of the crowd, because you could hear it through the TV. I mean, it sounded like the Texans fans really did show up and show out. The Texans selling out their season tickets this year, you've got to believe that that's part of it. More people showing up, and it certainly looked very populated, very crowded on TV. Again, we are awaiting C.J. Stroud. Love to hear from him, hear what he has to say about this offense. One thing may be troubling, a number of penalties on the offensive line. Laramie Tunsil in particular, that's 4 false starts in 2 games for him. I'm curious to hear what Texans think about this. And Pam, thank you. She says her son was there for his bachelor party weekend. He FaceTimed her, and it was loud. Yeah, I can imagine. I can imagine. That's cool that you got to be there, if even virtually. Very, very cool. And thank you for sharing. Adesina saying sacks. That's the word they used to describe this game. Yeah, again, 7 sacks. I wanted to look here at how many each Texan had. So Danielle Hunter credited with 1.5. Will Anderson credited with 1.5. I'd have to imagine that was the one where they converged on the pocket and just kind of broke it down near the beginning of the second half, I think, was that sack. Mario Edwards Jr. with credited with a sack. Derek Barnett credited with a sack. Henry To'oTo'o credited with a sack. And man, how well has he played through the first 2 games? Them not having Christian Harris, I think, was a big concern on that defense, and he's really stepped up. I mean, he had a big tackle for loss today near the left side, I want to say, near the left hash. He had a big tackle for loss, and 9 solo tackles tonight, 13 total. So a big game for To'oTo'o. Robert saying, I love Laramie Tunsil, but he's got to stay still until the ball is snapped. Yeah, I think Demeco Ryans would probably agree with you on that one as well. It's got to be frustrating for CJ operating in those instances where they've got momentum and all of a sudden the drive gets stalled out because of a false start penalty, especially when it's a home game. You know, I mean, yes, I know it's going to still be loud when the Texans are on offense, but it's definitely not going to be as loud because the home crowd knows the offense needs it more quiet to work. In fact, sometimes they have those quiet offense at work signs up there on the Jumbotron. So, you know, Pam, with another comment here, we had such a great night. The spark is back in H-Town. Yeah, Pam, I think a lot of people feel that way. And I think America really got to see the Texans for the first time with anticipation behind them. Jason Bristol and I were talking about this before the game started, how important it was that the Texans were having this game in this time slot at this point in the season. All of the anticipation able to build up from last season, people able to see what CJ Stroud was able to do in the playoffs, the fact that the Texans won the AFC South, they won a playoff game against the Browns, and they got to really get excited to see the Texans play in prime time on Sunday night. So I think not enough can be said about the slot that the Texans got, and I should note that they're going to have 6 nationally televised games this year. They had none last year. That says a lot about the success of this team. Again, the last time they played in a Sunday night primetime game was in December of 2019. Wow. Yeah, so almost 5 years ago, the last time this Texans organization had a Sunday night primetime game. They're going to be playing Dallas on a Monday night this year, too. That's in November. That'll be a cool game to see, a cool game to be at. And I should also note they improved to 5-2 all time against the Bears. 3-0 at home. They were 2-0 at home entering tonight. They're now 3-0. Also curious to get Texans fans' takes on Nick Caserio and the job that the front office has done in drafting guys. I mean, you look at Kalen Bullock, okay? He is the first Texan to record an interception in his first game. He did that last week. And then tonight, to have Kamari Lassiter also get his first interception, he would have had 2, but one of them got called back. So it seems like the Texans are really hitting on these draft picks. I mean, obviously, CJ Stroud, Will Anderson Jr., Tank Dell was undrafted out of the University of Houston. The Texans' personnel seems to be in a really good place. They seem to be very much on the same page when it comes to the schemes they're running, the kind of players they need, the kind of skill sets that they need. And one of the things I loved about them going out and getting Stephon Diggs this offseason, yes, I realize he's Stephon Diggs. So you're going to want that skill set no matter what team you're on. But I think he really complements the wide receiver room of the Texans because of the fact that they have different body sizes. They have different skills. Nico Collins, really the physical guy. Tank Dell, kind of the small, fast, elusive guy. And Stephon Diggs, he's going to be kind of an in-between, I think. And certainly a lot more to come from him. Not a great night for the Texans really receiving overall, with the exception of Nico Collins, who through the first 2 games has been Superman, quite frankly, at that position. He's been outstanding. Again, Nico, 135 yards on 8 catches, a touchdown. The long was 28 tonight. He had a long of over 50 in the last game, if you'll remember back to the beginning of that first game. Robert, in Caserio, we trust. Yes, I think a lot of Texans fans are feeling that way. In Caserio, we trust. That might be the new Texans currency by the end of this season if they continue to play really well. Again, looking back at some of these things that you guys on Facebook said, thanks again for tuning in as we await CJ Stroud at the podium. We expect him to be there in just a couple of minutes. Excited to hear what he has to say about this game, about being really the leader in that locker room, earning that respect so quickly, and now seeing this organization turn around in one season, really under his leadership and Demeco Ryans' leadership and his teammates. Again, we had resilient. A win is a win. I couldn't agree more with both of those. Resilient, a great way to define this win for the Texans. I want to look at some of the Bears stats because I know coming into this game, a lot of people were thinking about this matchup between Caleb Williams and CJ Stroud, these 2 very high draft picks. Caleb Williams was 23 of 37 tonight, 174 yards, and he had the 2 interceptions. Kamari Lassiter getting that big one late, and then Derek Stingley Jr. also had one. What did I see from Caleb Williams? He's got a lot of skills. He's able to be elusive when he needs to be. A very athletic quarterback. Appears that he can make all the throws, although he did not do that tonight by any means. He missed a number of guys where he had room to the back shoulder near the sidelines. Missed a number of guys with those throws, and honestly, that really has separated CJ Stroud in the first 2 years, or year and 2 games, I should say, that he's been in the league. The pass that he made tonight to Stephon Diggs on the sideline, I mean, it's like he was throwing it through a lasso, you know? I mean, he had about a 2-yard window to hit Diggs on the sideline. We saw the big pass he made on 3rd down to seal the game last week. That's the difference between the elite NFL quarterbacks. And I think that Caleb Williams has the skill set to get there, but he wasn't there tonight. He's not there yet. And there's still some growing pains, I think, to be had. 7 sacks. Texans have a great defense. There's no question about it. There were a number of times where the pocket collapsed around Caleb Williams. There's also another couple times where he probably should have thrown the ball away. And on those 2 interceptions, he was really trying to make something happen when there wasn't a play to be had. So I'm also curious, what you guys think of the performance by Caleb Williams? What do you think about his future in the NFL? What did you think just by the eye test, what you saw of him out there tonight on the field? Looks like there's some stirring in the press conference room at NRG Stadium as we await. I'm guessing it's going to be CJ Stroud. He's usually the next guy after Demeco Ryans. It's possible we could hear from a couple other players too. The Texans typically will make maybe 3 or 4 players available to the media after a win in the press conference room during a home game. So as we continue to stream this on KHU 11 Plus, and we're getting your guys' reactions on Facebook. A stark contrast this week when it comes to the running game for the Texans. 213 yards in week 1. That was the most in the NFL. This week, again, Texans rushing for just 75 total yards. Joe Mixon exiting the game definitely had a hand in that. He definitely had a hand in that. I mean, he pretty much only played the first half. He did come back in the game, which was obviously a, welcome sign. Certainly a welcome sign, because when we saw that ankle get rolled over, you heard Demeco get asked about that. He says it looks like he got that ankle just kind of tied up, rolled over under the defender, but he was able to come back in the game. And we're going to go now to CJ, who's just walked up to the podium.
We lean on each other, so I'm super proud of them boys.
How would you how would you describe just the offense tonight?
First half, I feel like we played really good. Definitely knew that they were going to try to stop the run, and just did some different schemes for that. So try to throw it. Thought we threw it pretty well in the first half. The second half, we were just flat. Just needed a big play, or just needed to play, just stack plays really, and we just couldn't find our rhythm. So that's a good defense over there. A lot of respect to those guys. They had a good plan for us. So it's good to learn in the dub, but I definitely know that we'll be better.
Speaking to your point about being flat in the second half or later on in the game, what do you feel like is going to be the first point that you bring up in the offensive meeting? Some of the things that you're going to key in on what you guys can improve.
It's a multitude of things, but I feel like just shooting ourselves in the foot, it's never really them. We run a type of play style where regardless of the coverage or whatever it is, it's up to the players to execute. So I definitely think we got to stop getting penalties. That's one thing. Another is just stop shooting ourselves in the foot, hat on a hat in the run game, hat on a hat in the passing game, and really just stop getting in our own way.
Hey, CJ, first couple of weeks, it looks like you've becoming more comfortable with off-script plays and taking more risks. Would you say that's something that's opened up this year for you?
Yes and no. I don't choose to run. I run when I have to. I feel like I am agile and I can get out, but, I definitely, try to read the defense to get my guys the ball because they're usually open every time. So, it's just up to the pocket and, navigating that, trying to make my whole line right, but also, if I have to, extend the play.
CJ, you guys started 0-2 last year, and now you're 2-0. How much different did things feel this year now that you have the whole season under your belt? What have you learned? Where do you feel like you guys have grown?
0-2 is a lot worse than 2-0. So, I'm definitely grateful, definitely, blessed to be playing this great game. But, it's definitely a lot of things we can clean up. I think around the league you can see that, though, you know what I mean? A lot of sloppy ball, some teams playing better than others, but I definitely know that, Texan football was not what we put on the field today, but, at least in the second half, we'll definitely be better for sure.
You and Nico connected on a couple of those scramble drill style plays. Is that something you guys work on actively? Is that a focus of yours?
No, it's just two guys out there making plays. We have a drill that we do at practice that, it does help those things. But, trying to just be two guys, be dynamic players.
Do you guys think you've grown your bond in that way, the kind of mind melt, so to speak?
Yeah, for sure. I think me and Nico, we've always had a good relationship and always, read each other well on the field. But I think even now, we'll take the next steps. And you can see, Steph getting involved more, Tank getting involved, Dalton, Brev. We're just trying to spread it around, and we have so many dynamic players. So, it's a good problem to have.
You're obviously, ultra competitive, things of that nature. How do you balance, you guys got the win, but you said it, you guys didn't put on Texans football. How do you kind of balance, wanting to correct all the mistakes, but while also, celebrating the win that you guys just had today?
It's football. It's hard to win in the NFL. I'm happy. Of course, I'm not satisfied. I'll never be satisfied. There's always things that you can point out. We're not going to let one half of football make us put our head down. We're going to stay confident. We're going to stay taking shots. We're going to stay, betting on us. So I definitely, understand, we need to be better. But, like you said, winning is number one. So we won, and now it's time to move on and get better.
CJ, can you talk a little bit about what Kaimi has meant to the team over these past 2 weeks? And as a quarterback, as an offense, does having a kicker that can hit from long range like that, consistency, give you guys a little bit of extra confidence, once you get over the 50-yard line?
Yeah, and he got ice in his veins, man. I'm super happy and proud of him. I think he broke a record today or something like that. So, we definitely need him. All points are big points. And I definitely think like the preparation and just who he is at practice, you know that he's gonna knock it down just because how hard he is on himself during practice. And it was a great job by our special teams today, blocking it. Also, punt. Tommy doing his job as well. So, it takes 3 phases of football to win a football game.
CJ, you mentioned not shooting yourselves in the foot and getting the hat on the head in the run game. What did you feel like was the biggest difference between the week that y'all had last week in the run game, which was great, and then this week and not necessarily having exactly that?
Y'all just watch film. I can't sit here and tell you right now. It's always better than what you think it is always, or if it's a good game, it's always worse. It's worse than you think it was. So I can't sit here and tell you that it was this or another. I just know that they we talked to them after the game, they had a specific plan on what they were trying to get done, and they executed it, and we got to just be better. So I can't sit here and just tell you exactly what it was.
Last two, go ahead.
Somewhat twofold. One, I don't know if you saw the replay and Jumbotron and whatnot, but the hip drop tackle on Mix, how you felt about that, and then how the offense changed once he leaves the game. Later on, Akers fumbles in the red area. I just felt like the running game was off kilter. So was it a drop tackle, a hip drop tackle in your mind, and then how did the offense change?
I really didn't notice it. I seen him kind of just fall down weird, and I was like, man, didn't look good. So, I'm definitely praying for him, and I know that he's a tough guy, but, just take care of himself right now. Hope that he's back on the field soon because you can see we need Joe. Joe's an amazing back. But, yeah, it definitely, shocked us, and we were, shifting momentum a little bit. But, that's up to my job. That's for me to get the juices back going, to, not let that happen. So let us go downhill. But, I hope he's okay. That's the main thing. I just hope Joe is all right. But I didn't notice the tackle. But, yeah.
Last one, Kevin.
CJ, after a remarkable rookie season, what's been the biggest challenge or adjustment for you and your tour teams? Doing anything differently? Are they scheming against you differently?
Not really. I'm still the same young, confident kid that I will and always will be. I definitely do think they try different schemes, but, I try my best not to focus on that and just focus on my job. So I don't really see a huge difference. I definitely know, what I learned from last year is, it takes a couple weeks early on to get used to playing against other teams, seeing other coverages, because you're in training camp for so long. When you get to these games, it's a little shocker until week 3, week 4, and I think that's around the league you'll see offenses start to pick it up more.
Thank you, CJ.
All right, Joe.
Thanks, guys.
And that was C.J. Stroud that you just heard at the podium, the Texans quarterback. Not sure if we're going to see any other Texans players tonight, especially with it having been a night game, and they do have meetings, of course, tomorrow where they go over tape. So we all have to see if we have any more Texans players, but you heard from CJ. We'll go over some of the things that he said. I want to get back to some of your comments on Facebook. Robert, speaking of Caleb Williams, thanks for chiming in here, Robert. He's got a boatload of potential, but it's going to take time. Bears fans do need to have some patience. I feel like Stroud has spoiled the league with how he played last year. That's in part what Robert said. Robert, I couldn't agree with you more. C.J. Stroud has undeniably set the bar for rookie quarterbacks, not only in the records that he set last year, but with the way that he processed the game. I think one of the things that gets overlooked about CJ is his ability to process the game and stay calm. He never looks rushed. He never looks like he's in a panic. And I think a lot of that earned the respect of his teammates, specifically his veteran teammates. Casey saying Nico is an absolute beast. Guy is going to be so much fun to watch this year. and he's got the right guy behind center to have a special year. Yes, you're absolutely right. And you heard Nico reference the fact that he always feels like his guys are open. Well, I think CJ throws his guys open a lot, as they say. A couple of things that stood out to me about what CJ said. Shooting ourselves in the foot. Yes, 12 penalties will do that to you. And then another thing that he said, I run when I have to. Very important thing for a quarterback in the NFL. Quarterbacks can't succeed in the NFL as just runners. They can succeed as just passers if you have a great offensive line, but obviously being able to get out of sticky situations is going to allow you to make those plays off book, throw off your back foot, throw from different arm slots, all those kinds of things. Throw on the run. Having mobility, there's no question about it. But more people this year are seeing CJ Stroud's ability to be an athletic quarterback. And I don't know that that's changed that much since last year. I think more people are aware of the Texans. I will say this. Through probably the first 4 or 5 games last year, I will say that, the Texans didn't seem to take much risk. And they probably didn't do that because, hey, they had a rookie, untested, unproven quarterback. But it didn't take long for CJ to say, I want to start throwing the ball deep, which he said something to that effect. He said he wanted to be able to throw the ball downfield. And shortly thereafter, people got to see what CJ Stroud was all about and his playmaking ability. And, when we think about next week, week 3, we look at this matchup. The Texans are going to be going to Minnesota. They'll be facing Sam Darnold, the former USC quarterback. He was a backup in a number of places. And they'll also be taking on Justin Jefferson. That's going to be it's going to be a test. Every week is a test in the NFL, but the Vikings are also 2-0 right now. It looks like they are turning the lights out there at NRG Stadium, so I'd say it's probably unlikely that we're going to see another Texans player tonight. But again, a great Sunday night for the Houston Texans. They start out 2-0, the first time since 2016. They play a primetime game, first time since 2019. I don't know that there's been a test this team has had that they haven't passed yet. And I think that says a lot about their coaching staff. It says a lot about their quarterback, says a lot about the front office and the organization. Okay. It looks like Nico Collins not coming to the podium, so I think that's going to do it here for our live stream. But again, Texans are 2-0. They take on the Vikings next week. We'll be right here with you post-game. Love to get your comments. Love to hear what you guys think. So we will see you on KHEU 11, and thanks again for joining us on KHEU 11 Plus for our post-game coverage of the Texans' 19-13 win over the Bears in Week 2.